Kōrero ā-Mahere. Today we're going to be talking about story maps, one of my favorite topics, and I think after you see some of the cool stuff you can do for free today. So we're going to have a look at what is story maps. We're going to have a talk about ownership and where story maps are stored, and a little bit about approval and should it be public, where it's hosted. We'll look at many examples, and that will take care of the weekend for many of you, I'm sure. Some Indigenous and other examples so that can inspire you to build your own. And then we'll get into just building a simple story map and sum up, aim to finish by about 1:15, all going well if I don't talk too much, to be a surprise, with lots of links and other resources and materials to follow up on. I'm just going to put a link on the chat for you, and if you could just make a note, if you've got a pen handy, it's the only link you'll need for today, matawhenua.com, and that will redirect you to the page you can see on the screen here, and looks something like this. Lots of resources. These are what we've built up over time, because we've done every couple of years we do a story maps kōrero. Last time was February last year. So lots of resources here, particularly for targeted for Māori application, environmental, awa, 3D, lots of different kaupapa. I think we started these way back in Gabriel. So there's lots of examples throughout here. So what is a story map? Let's go, we'll just dive straight in. Here's one example. So a story map lets you, if it's going to turn up, come on now. A story map lets you combine kōrero, narrative, images, maps, video, audio files, all kinds of content. So if we have a look, let's scroll through here. And this is an example one. I'm just going to press play. So see this, turn autoplay on. So you don't need any software for this. Just go through here, and this is called this automatic scroll. And this is an example one that just demonstrates a few concepts and allows you, it also allows you to do 3D fly-throughs to be able to share with others. I might just turn off that that scrolling because we're sharing screen. It's just the internet's working hard. Let's get rid of that. So what it allows you to do is combine 3D fly-through maps with images, with kōrero. Turn that off. Going from place to place, and allows you to share with others. So in the same way that I've shared this with everyone on the wānanga, you can also use it to share with others, or you can keep it private to yourself. That's if you're using the free version. So here we've got a video embedded, is just an example. And a place label, another little embedded video, more kōrero, simple map. So my internet's going a bit slow, but this also will go perfectly fine on a mobile phone as well. It reformats really nicely for mobile. Oh, here it comes. I just need to be patient. When I set this one up, I just set this one up. You can see it's based in similar kind of terrain in South America. I thought it would be good just to not tell anyone else's story, which is always the catch with these wānanga, is finding useful examples, relevant examples, but not telling someone else's kōrero. And I use the story of the kumara just as just to sort of show what's possible. Here's another place-to-place 3D tour with an image, which you can also click on the image and it will expand. Come back out again. And I think, and so on and so on, you get the idea. And this one was based around a marae development plan. You can go through, have a look at the images. Putting food in there was always a good idea, I thought. And some more kōrero. Oops, I've got an error in that one. I'll have to fix that. Didn't do that last night. And you can add in and you can link to other sites, other resources. You can also have a credit section as well. And up here you can see you also can have quick links to parts of the story. So that's what a story map is. It allows you to share that kōrero, author it yourself, have interesting maps, 3D pop-ups. These are interactive maps, so you can zoom in, zoom out. And so, yeah, there's lots of it's really limited only by your imagination of how detailed and how you share, or how you tell your kōrero. So that is what a story map is. Tick that one off. Next, let's talk about ownership. I'm just fighting my little pop-up tool. Let me put that one away. So Story Maps is provided by a company in the US, which is Esri.com. So if we go to storymaps.arcgis.com, it's probably going to log me in, but this is where Story Maps, where you start from. So Esri is a company like Microsoft, but they are perhaps a little bit more, they're a company for profit, but they're also perhaps a little bit more generous, particularly for their users and environmental groups as well. They're represented in New Zealand by Eagle Technology, who's the distributor for Esri, and also Roland Pōmana, who many of you may know is the Indigenous lead for Aotearoa. That's Roland Pōmana. So he can help, he's doing a lot of mahi in the space, and he can also help you with non-profit licensing for the professional version if you're wanting to take that next step. So Story Maps is hosted on Amazon. It's part of the Esri ArcGIS suite, and they provide it probably about 95%, 90%, I think, as a free option for those of us that don't want to or can't afford to pay for the full suite. We can use them and create them. Let's have a look here. We can have a look at an overview. See what comes up here. Accept all those cookies. And if we scroll down, you'll get an idea of some of the different things in there. So things to consider. The whole story is being stored on a server outside of Aotearoa. So it has implications for sovereignty, has implications for data ownership. Unlike Facebook, where you are the product, with Story Maps, within the, and I've read the whole license, you always retain ownership of any content and data that you put in there. However, just be aware that it's being stored on a data center that you don't have control of. Typically, you would only do a story map if it was a story that you're okay to make public. Now, you can have them as private, but like anything stored in a browser as a service, there are things to look into and consider. In terms of trust, the trust with Esri is pretty high. In terms of my own trust, you can go trust.arcgis.com and you can learn about how their services are provided, but also how they're secured and managed. So that's something else to have a look at. main thing is, before you do a story, particularly if you're telling someone else's story, is to, should it be on the internet? What is the approval process? Who could approve this? What is a committee, a board, a group? Because most stories are shared kaupapa or shared kōrero, so just to be aware of that. Okay, let's go back to matawhenua.com, and it looks something like this. Let's have a look at a resource I prepared for today. So this first story, number 1, actually almost all of these are story maps. Let's start here. So this is a very simple story, mostly text, although I've got a couple of embeds in here. So I'll be using some sample imagery, sample kōrero, and you can see here, here's a before and after in what's called a swipe block. Now, all of the images I'll be using today, I've generated with AI because I didn't want to use someone else's kōrero. But you can see this is the kind of thing that you can create. So if you imagine you had a post, somewhere near the environment that you wanted to monitor or share a story about, and quite often you put the camera on top. This is a common work process. Put the camera on top, press the button, or put the phone on top and press the button in the same spot in the same direction each way. And that's what this is intended to demonstrate. Now, there's also some examples here. Now, these are they link back to some of the others in the matawhenua.com list. Let's see what's a good one to have a look at. There's some retro lens one there. There's a Waikawa integrated catchment plan. Let's have a look at this one. I had a quick squeeze at this down the bottom of Waiponamu. Take a moment for the picture to load up. I forgot to mention, if you do have any pārtai, feel free to put them in the chat and either one of my colleagues will draw my attention to them, or if it's something particularly urgent, just unmute and give me a shout. But after we go through how to create them, you'll get the idea and we can have a further kōrero there as well after the recording. So you can see here they've used, I'm just going through how they've used it. They've used a gallery of photos here, which you can click on. Click through. They've got some kōrero here. They're showing more photos of their workshops in wānanga. And then they're getting into some fairly advanced GIS mapping here, where they're showing the area of interest, their catchment. And they're going through step by step, scrolling down through, showing kind of like slides. If you just imagine them as slides, they're kind of very similar. So you can see how they've used them. They're stepping through all the different parts and mapping data that they've got, but you don't need to have this level of mapping data to be able to do a story map. And as you can see, this is an interactive map. So if I wanted to, I could zoom in a bit to have a look at a particular spot that I might be interested in. Or in this case, zoom to Long Beach. So you can do interactive parts like this as well. And finish with maps. Now we've got some nice images and so on and so on. You can see we're probably about halfway there. Now some more photos and things. So there's one. Let's see this one here. Te Ao Māori and Coastal Risk Assessments. I don't know that I clicked on this one. Oh, yes, I did very quickly. Rangatane, We can see some kōrero. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm just drawing your attention to the parts of the story map, less about the kōrero from the rangatana itself. You can see here, this is a quote. Tēnei whetū ki te rangi o rangatane nui ki te whenua. That's a quote. We've got some kōrero here. Now this, I believe, is probably a picture. Not, even though it is a map, it's probably a photo. If we've got some kōrero, we've got a divider just there, a title. We've got an illustration or a diagram in here. We've got a photo, the team, a divider, heading, kōrero, and now we've got what's called a sidecar. So this is the side, and as it scrolls, the content will change over here. So as we scroll down through, we've got some kōrero, and we've got some interaction. We can click on things and that will change over here. Scroll a bit more, flicks back. You can see this one, it's quite detailed, but it's a great way to share this type of information. You see this, that is a animated GIF, GIF or GIF. Got some tables here. Now, these are actually just images that have been embedded. And to be honest, with tables, I would still just put them in as pictures rather than actually using the table function in StoryMaps. It's a little bit simple. If you need an extremely simple table, then it's okay. But yeah, if I wanted a table like this, it would be challenging to create it. So I'd probably just put it in as a picture. You can see here's that's a picture. Again, not actual, it's a map, but it's not a live map. And some more links and photos, different options for photos and so on and so forth. And at the bottom, you've got acknowledgements, credits, and you can see these headings up the top here as well. So shortcuts to go through up and down the story. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move on to...
Wayne, there's a question in the chat from Cameron. Is there a template we can use?
Yes, there kind of is, but you can create a template. That template, you will come to templates too, Cameron. There is, but you've got to set them up first, and that's easy enough to do. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to attempt to, I'm just thinking, what am I in Chrome there? If I try and log in as, maybe I'll log in myself just for now. I was going to show you how you could sign in with a free one, but I'm just thinking within the same browser it's going to may cause me some issues. I was going to log in as Poutama 2020, which is a free account that I use, but I think I'll just log in with my Google. There's only one function that doesn't work. So let's say we wanted to create a story map. The first thing to do is go to storymaps.arcgis.com and it'll ask you to log in. I log in with my Gmail because then it's another password. I think maybe you could do it with Facebook or probably something, Apple or something else as well. But it means that you don't have another password to manage. And also it's what's called a public account. Now that means more of a member of the public, not public for everyone to see. So I can change, you can see here, this is open to people to see, but I can also have it private for me. Let me see if I've got any private ones here. Doesn't matter. I'm going to show you how to create one. So I'm at storymaps.arcgis.com and I can create a story like what we've just had a look at. I can also create a briefing. So if you've got you're wanting an alternative to a PowerPoint, or you're wanting to have PowerPoint-like stories that you want to interact with, then Bring is a different option. There's also a Frame, which is kind of a bit more social media focused, where if you just want to show one map and share it and see how we go for time, maybe we'll have a crack at that. A collection, now you've already seen a collection. This is a collection over here, the matawhenua.com. This is a collection of stories, and you can have other content as well. And in a couple of these, like this one and this one, I've got animated GIFs that I created as the story map thumbnail. And that's why you can see those going. You can create a theme. So you'll see, I'll show you what happens when you apply a theme or change a theme. I typically just use one theme for all my stuff. And then if I change that theme, it's going to change everything. Every story I've ever made will use that theme.
That was Daniel for
Kia ora, if you could just, happy to take partai, but if you could just mute when you're not participating. Kia ora. So that's a theme. So you can add, like I like to use the darker themes, like dark background and white text and lighter colors and different things, because it's just I prefer that. Cameron asking about templates. Create similar stories by capturing a reusable pattern. So you, it's basically like you create a sample and then save, and then when you go from template or save a template, it'll come up in your list of content there as well. And then something I had a go with, but I'm not yet convinced on, is the import document. So you can go and get a Word document. In fact, why don't I just show you this, because this is a nice little side quest here. I have got a bunch of content that I'm going to share with you. If I go here and I go story map sample text, and I bring it in and I go add, it's going to create a story map based on that content. But yeah, just over time, I've learned the best way is not to write your story in story maps. You're always better to start writing your story or your kōrero separately in Google Docs, Word, whatever tool you prefer to use, even on paper. Because what happens is it brings it all in, and it can be quite challenging to move it around. It's not like, this is not one total scrolling text, even though it looks like it. It's chopped it up into blocks, and this is a common thing. See this here? I can drag this block here, but until recently, if I deleted something, there's no undo, undo, undo. There might be a couple of undos, but it only goes so far. They've improved it quite a bit, but you can see here now I've got a big long scrolling text, and it's like, yeah, that's okay, but I prefer to build it piece by piece. So back to matawhenua.com and this first story. If you would like to access the sample files that I've got, which is this marae, these photos and a bunch of others, you can see download sample image data listed here. Just click there and you can download, and that's just some public content. You can do whatever you like with those. You can publish them. It's all AI generated, so it's not on anyone's particular whenua, and certainly no one's story. But it's there, and what I've done over here is I've downloaded that zip file. So let me just show you what happens as you download, and you'll get a file that looks like this. It might have some long text after it, doesn't matter. It's about 133 megabytes, and you just right click and go extract all, and extract out there. And if I just go extract, it'll right over, I think. It's putting it to a different folder. Because I renamed that one. And so here's all that content in that folder on my hard drive now. So what I'm going to use is some of these images as sources. So I've got image here of doing stream mahi. There's a tuna there. Watch this one. Hopefully this will come. This one's quite cool. But if you have video, if you have a fancy waterproof phone, we can add that into your story map. I'll show you how to do that shortly. And there's a whole collection of other photos here that you can use. So let me get rid of that. And back to here. And we're going to start from scratch. So create story. So we're going to do a few things here. We're just going to use, we're not going to create an actual flowing story. We're going to go through and what I'm going to do is show you the main components that I think are quite useful and that will get you started and show you how to add the maps and things in. Add a cover image or video. So here we can add, and this is where, if you have a video, this is where I would put it. Let me show you. So this is the tuna. It's AI from Google. I think you can see that's why it kind of magically turns around in something. It's not the greatest, but it certainly is an attractive kind of catch your eye. And if you think of when people are scrolling through on Facebook, or you want to capture their attention, then a little video, not necessarily one with that error, but these are quite cool. Kōrero ā-Mahere. This is our story map example. And if I go to my sample data, I've got a story map text here. I'm just going to use this as content. But there's lots of different ways to do this as well. Like even more recently, if you needed, say you had an annual report and you had a feeling that people weren't necessarily engaging with it or using it, or oops, it didn't like me. Okay, I think I've got it somewhere else. I've got it in Google Docs. Having some issues with passwords. Say docs.google.com. I should have it just here. Go. So here's my kōrero that I prepared earlier. I'm just going to take a bit of content there and paste it here. And you'll see it's pasted it in 3 blocks. So if I go here and I press delete, oh, it does now, but it didn't used to interact with the block below. In that block, I might want to have a heading just here. So I go whānau, hapū and iwi. And I want to make that a bit more bold. So I can go paragraph 1 heading, paragraph 2, paragraph 3. There's this big, small, smaller, smallest. Then I can go bulleted list or numbered list or even quote, like that box that we had a look at. Heading 1. And that heading style is set in my template. There are 2 types of templates. No, actually, I put you wrong there. There's templates, and then there are themes. In my theme, I've specified heading 1 as being italic. Heading 2, or maybe is that in there all the time? I can flick around with it too anyway. Heading 1. So heading, theme picture at the top, block of text, and now let's have a look about adding a map. So I can add a map, and this is, anyone can do this. I can add a 3D, what's called an express map, where I don't have any data, but I just want to show this map. Meet Express Maps. You can draw dots, numbers. It's actually quite cool because it's one of the few tools that I'm aware of that allows you to draw really nice curved lines and other shapes, just on an ad hoc basis, however you want. And let's go and search. I'm going to use just randomly Whenua. Zooms into home, near to home, Kairangi. I'm just going to also, so this map for me is like, I want to draw it on one of these awa here. Use one of the awa as an example, but this is not the kind of map I want. I want a aerial photo type map. So if I come here, I go into settings and I change the base map. So I can go, there's lots of different base maps here. You can see you can use different kinds, but I quite often will use this ocean base map because it's quite a soft, subtle, it's great for around the coast as well. But if you want hybrid imagery, that's where you have some labels as well as the base map. So the base map is the imagery and then the labels. So that's together, they call that a hybrid. If I click on here, I've got just the base map. So I'm going to go with just the base map for now. I can also have an image if I've got a map of my own that I wanted to use. And here's some options. Allow map navigation. So move it around like this, which is cool, which I want to do, because I'm going to pick on just one of these awa here randomly. An overview map. This one's quite cool. Unfortunately, it doesn't let you zoom in to that area, but yeah, it might be quite neat. And it certainly is a nice way to have an inset map. I'll just go with that for now. And now looking up the top here, this is what's called an express map. So all we've done is go on add map, click that top one, add express map. I've clicked on here, I've changed the base map, and now I'm going to go and I'm going to draw the awa, just as an example. In fact, I might know what I'm going to do here. I'm going to show you these arrows because I think they're quite neat. You see it's click, click, click. Whoops, it's clicked out. Okay, user error. I'm going to go like this. Then I can grab the middle and I can move it a bit. I can grab middle there and move that a bit. And you see that curve in PowerPoint, it's incredibly hard to get. So that's quite neat. And I can change the lines because the background is quite dark. I might want to use a lighter color. And these colors are set up in the theme of the story that I'm using. I can also have it as a dotted line. Yeah. And I can add some kōrero. I can add some pins like this if I wanted to add a picture. So I might put a picture here as well. Browse to my files. And looking at those sample images, maybe I want the fish trap, just as an example. Fish trap, add fish trap, example, and I can put some kōrero here. So I'm going very quickly, just to show you how it's done. And then let's say, move that there. I'll move that there, just outside of the line. Okay, press save. Very important to press save down the bottom there. And then press save over here. And now we've got a map in our story map. No data, no GIS, anything like that. Just what you're wanting to draw. You can, the next step, of course, is to use another map from someone else. And I'll show you how to do that just next too. You can also change the size of the map. So if we want it to be just a small inset map like this, or even smaller on the side of our kōrero, like this, smaller there. So we can start to build our story of how we want it to look. And as you scroll through on a phone, it will change and it'll move the text underneath or just above. It'll reformat to fit how you want it on your phone. Let's have a look at another example of what the tools are here that you can add. So you can add a text box or a heading. You can add a button. Got it. And then you can edit that and put where it's going to go to. So if I go https matawhenua.com, when I click that button, or when you click the button, it will take you to that location. What else we got here? Cameron, I know you're into code, so you can do some real fancy cool stuff there. You can add a map. We're going to have a look at that again in a moment. There are different types of maps, even 3D maps. Charts. If you've got data, this is a good way to present it. Infographic, which is where it's kind of like a bit of a dashboard. You can add a table, but it's kind of a bit clunky and you can't necessarily paste a whole table. So I would recommend using a screen clip from Excel or somewhere. You can add a 3D image, a 360. Here's an image gallery. You can add, here's where you add a video. You can add audio. The one thing you can't do on a free account is this embed. And this is where you embed some content from, say, YouTube or from somewhere else. As far as I could tell, that was the only thing that you don't get in the free account. You can add another app. So maybe there's a dashboard or a flood map or something else that someone else has done. You can put that within your story. Swipe. Now, this is that before and after, seeing change over time. Timeline is allows you to, within the story map concept, having a sequence of different things. You can also do a sidecar, and we mentioned that briefly, where you have a map on one side and scrolling content on the other, and then a map tour when you go from place to place to place to place. And this uses, you can use the lens-based maps. You can use the Esri base maps, which also pulls in from the lens base maps. You can use 3D, which is supplied by Esri or through ArcGIS.com, but also comes from lens. Let's get into some more of these aspects here. I'm going to just put a space down so that it's on a new line. I'm going to add a map. In this case, I'm going to go and I'm going to look for maps that are not mine. And I'm going to go in here. I've gone public content. So that's anyone in the ArcGIS ecosystem that is sharing their maps publicly. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go Whenua Māori. I'm going to see what comes up. Oh, where's my macron from? And still lots of maps. So any of these maps I can add, because they're public, people have shared them in public, I can add them in here and reuse, recycle. I was hoping one that I had made earlier was going to turn up. Let's see. Okay, I'll show you one that I cooked up earlier. To my content. This is the map I'm looking for. It's out in public, so you'll be able to find it, hopefully. Whenua Māori 2026. I think because I've not configured the keyboard correctly, it's not doing the macro. So what this could be any map from anyone else who's shared it in public. Those of you who are ArcGIS users, you'll know that you can also create your own maps, but we'll put that to another time. or if you go back through our YouTube channel, you'll be able to see creating a 3D map as well. In this case, I want to have Māori land blocks on, and I've already added in pre-imagery, earlier imagery. I want to use that, so I'm going to turn that on, and you can see I've got older imagery come in here. We'll see if we've got some color stuff. More recent. So there's actually two copies of imagery there. This stuff from now, and then this imagery is from previous. So if we see there, probably see a couple of houses being built somewhere in the middle there, a new road perhaps, or a road taken away. So we can see some change there anyway. I'll just leave that off for now and go save. And now we've got a 3D map put into our story map. 3D does take a little bit more time to load because you're also loading in the elevation. So you're kind of pulling through two data sets. One is the imagery, and then the other is another type of image that gives it the elevation. But those are interactive like this. You can zoom around, zoom in, zoom out, and it puts the name of the map just down there. So let's say we wanted to do a place to place to place to place story down the awa, up that one. So what I did there is I just put in a map. Well, actually, just before we do, let's just do one more thing before we do down here to the map tour. If you want to add a 360 image, so if you've got Google Street View app on your phone, you can take a 360 photograph. And there should be a couple in here. Pano, these are a couple I did. Did this one, yeah, Taupo. Lake Poutama, I think it was. Was that Waikato moana? It's near Taupo, Turangi. Okay, so what it's doing is it's taken that image. You can also do it as, you know, if you go into the tutu on the settings of your phone and you do a wide screen shot, you can do the same thing here, and it will just sit there just quietly going through the image. You can still interact with it like this. You can see the guy who took it. There's Taranaki iwi hat on for today. And you can also go full screen. You can pan around. It's kind of an interactive way to have a photo. It's worth the extra effort, I think. Okay, so there's another example. Let's have a look at one of my favorites, which is a map tour. Sidecar, I'm going to skip that for now because we're a bit short on time, but I just want to show you this map tour as the last piece. Start from scratch. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to make a place to place to place to place map tour with photos. And in this case, it's going to be quite quick and short. But first, I'm going to go and find the image that I want to start my map tour with. And I'll just use this one, this hinaki, to begin with. And the first thing I need to do to change my map is I come down here and I go add location. In this case, I'm just going to go Wainui. Small. We'll get me fairly close to where. And I'm going to come over here and let's say it's this hour just here. And I click there. I can go use the current zoom, which is here, or I can allow it to just automatically do it for me. I'm going to leave it on map tour settings just for now. And you can see it's way zoomed out, but as soon as I add another one, be lucky. Put it all here. I'll go add. So I'm going to add the second one. And I add the picture. I'll just do a couple of these so you get the idea. And let's go with even. Wānanga. Kōrero goes here. And then I add location. And I could go, it's just here, or wherever I want to have it. Now it's going to change the map scale. This is where leaving it on automatic makes it a little easier to do. And now add another one. I'm going to change the map in a moment too, and change it to aerial photo. Let's say one more. Tuna. Now add location. Zoom in a bit. About there. Save. Short fin. Tuna. Kōrero here. And that's probably enough for that for now. Three items, 1, 2, 3. And now I want to change the base map. So I'm going to go in here and have a tutu. I'm going to click around in here, see what happens. Okay, map options, that's not the right one, it's this one. So I come in here and I want 3D. Well, I know that 3D was taking a while to load. So just for now, I'm going to go 2D, but you can also do it 3D. I'm going to go, I don't want current location because most people won't be there when they're looking at it. I can progress lines. Yeah, okay, I can have a progress line. Oh, no, actually, I don't want that. It's too messy. I can have a legend. No, I don't want that. Overview map. Probably leave it off because that's all it's going to do for my whole story. Zoom automatic, and then save. And it's taken a moment to load up pictures. Let's see. As I zoom through, it'll go from 1, Hinaki, Inanga, and then to the tuna. And if it's 3D, it'll go in a similar way, but in 3D. Now there's a couple other things. So there's the basic thing. You don't have to press save. What we'll do is we'll press publish. And I'm going to change this to public. And show in search results. I'm going to turn that off because I don't want Google picking that up. And I go publish. It's checking for any issues. So special note for Cameron, if you get a bit fancy, it's going through, it's checking all your code. This is where it'll tell you if there's any issues with the JavaScript or permissions or anything else that'll come up here. So if you've got a map in there that you've used that's not public, this is where it'll come up and say, hey, do you want to share this map as well? Because it won't be available if you're going to make it public, which I've just made this one public. So anyone can view it without logging in. So now if I take that link and come out of there and come over to the chat and put this link on the chat, you can now straight away go and click on that and you'll be able to have a quick look.